Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
It's amazing to me. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws, and when racism really existed, and yet you didn't see black people raping, killing, and robbing white Americans in this fashion. And now that blacks are doing it, white people are being blamed for it. Blacks have no chance of getting better because if they continue to listen to blaming someone else for your issues, you would never get better in life. And it's so amazing to me, all the excuses that are made for black people in order to make them feel good about being wrong. And then the accusers feel good about making blacks feel good about being wrong. What a sad way to live. David is with me. David, I want to go to the phones. Let's go out to Los Angeles. Bible Go-To Guy, you're on with David. Niose.
Good morning, David. Good morning, Jesse. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for calling, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, let's deal with this last issue first, if I may. You say that the whites started it, so the blacks can keep on killing and out-killing whites forever because the whites started it. But the whites really didn't start it. Do you know where racism really started from, sir? Since you go back in history? You only go back in history as far as the black racists want you to go, which is whites had slaves. So let's figure out why whites had slaves, because blacks in Africa, where they came from, right, they were disrespecting themselves first by selling themselves as slaves. So the racism started because you have to first disrespect yourself for other people to disrespect you. And that's where it actually started. So if you want to put the blame on white racism, it has to go back to the blacks disrespecting themselves. Let me give you another example. The Chinese were always looked upon, for the last 5-6 decades as being inept, dumb, foolish, because their country was so destroyed. And then once they got it together and became a major power, people don't talk about Chinese in the same way anymore. They found their own respect, which made other people respect them. See my point?
David?
Not exactly, but
So
I
what's
don't
wrong
know
with
how
that
I'm
point?
supposed to respond to that. That somehow China getting its act together is a model for blacks in America. Is that your point?
Yes, it is, sir. That once you start respecting
Okay,
yourself,
point
other
taken.
people will-
I really I think you're comparing apples to oranges there, but
and you're not going back far enough in history to know where the real blame lies. Anytime someone disrespects you,
well, I mean, if we go back far enough, we can trace back things in history, but you seem to be whitewashing the history of slavery in this country and this history of segregation and the history of Jim Crow. All of that is irrelevant to you? Is that irrelevant? No, you're saying that's
hold on,
irrelevant.
one at a time. Let him ask your question, David, and then respond.
You seem to be saying that since there was the history that you talk about of slaves being sold the way they were and captured the way they were, that somehow that whitewashes the history of slavery, segregation, and Jim Crow.
No, if you want to find out why one group of people disrespects another group of people, it's because that group of people started their own disrespect. They themselves disrespected each other by selling themselves into slavery. That's what blacks did over in Africa. And
it is that white disrespect for blacks is justified because there was black disrespect.
David.
But, sir, you are saying that black disrespect of whites today, the crime and everything that blacks do against whites, is traceable back to when whites first disrespected them. And I'm saying that just go back a little further in history and find out where the real disrespect, where the original disrespect came from. You're stopping short in America, but it actually has its roots back in Africa.
Well, all history has preceding history, but I think at a certain
point... So why
point...
stop at American history for the cause of white racism onto black people?
Because I think
Hold on, Bible Go-To Guy. Let him respond. Go ahead, David.
from a cultural standpoint, I think that, to say that somehow slavery has a connection to black on black disrespect, therefore the factor of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow are less important is just I think in any objective assessment, it's just kind of punting the ball.
Well, David, slavery or Jim Crow had nothing to do with the condition of blacks today. Black people, not all but most, are acting out due to the lack of moral character, the destruction of the family, because during Jim Crow law and during slavery, black people had self-respect, and they were not acting in the manner that they're acting today. But due to the loss of that morality, they're out of control.
Well, we can leave that debate at that point. Then you're saying that slavery and the treatment of blacks prior to the Civil War is irrelevant in the analysis of social dysfunction today.
It has nothing to do with the destruction of black Americans at all. Not one iota.
Okay,
and I agree with that.
That's your position.
It's just an excuse made up by them and liberals and atheists who support that idea. Thank you, Barbara. Go to guy. Let's go out to Memphis, Tennessee, and talk to Sandra. Sandra, you're on with David. Sandra?
Hi.
Hi, you're on with David.
Love you, Jesse. Love you, David.
Thank you.
You guys were discussing facts. Now, God will always hold the trump card when it comes to facts. Every man will have a chance to know that God is real and to get saved. That includes you, David. God says in John 1:9, it says, that was the true light, and Jesus is the true light, which lighteth every man. So, that will include you, David, that cometh into the world.
You think David going to get saved? It ain't going to happen.
Well, according to the Bible, God is going to personally let David know that he's real.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Back in a moment, David. We'll tell the folks how to get your information, and we'll run.